So we've got the laptop also with us today. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you all doing this afternoon? I know it's late where you're at. Welcome to the studio family. It's officially open, guys. Um, I have a few things. I just want to say thank you to those of you that saw my Gazette this week. The vault has been open, and I shared with you another set of these scarves, silk scarves that I created for myself. It started with one, then came two right away, and then a few pieces came along the line that I have not shown you guys as well. Yeah, I haven't shown you guys. And I added also some cards because I'm someone I love to make cards. Christmas, birthday, wedding, thank you, whatever. So I've added a collection of that as well. And I will also announce that I'm someone that is very balanced with my masculine and feminine. And I always include my men in my talks and, in my perspective and stuff like that. Because yes, the world was made in somewhat along the lines for you, by you, but the pressure that men have is also very strong, that most men do not share, open, let out, release stress, pain, whatever, anxiety, and they bottle it up and keep it within. So I've also created some, I'm still working on it, scarves for men and cards as well. So yes, that's all I want to say about that. So today we're going to talk about a few things. I don't know why this topic came up again, but it's about therapy. For us to have therapy as the new elite self-care routine that is a part of an essential, how do I say, self-care growth for us as beings to have. Now, we have had this concept, which I do understand why. Again, society. Hello, Alex. Hello, K Broka, I think. Hello, guys. Hi. Let me see. Do I wave back? How does that work? No. Okay. Hi. Good afternoon. Bonsoir. Yeah. So therapy for me. Hi. Hello. Someone else. Is really, I have always seen it as an important and essential thing to have. Where are you from? I'm from Trinidad. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. I was born here, but I grew up in America and Europe. So again, I guess I could start this. So my name is Julia Belgraves. I am a woman, a light, a open force for the universe, and I speak my truth. I am a mirror in many ways to many people, whereas how to explain that, I have had experiences with people that just doesn't like me, or the fact that I show up the way that I am, it triggers their demons, let's put it that way. I have been bullied from a young age by my youngest sister, and I'm someone that has always wanted to know self, love self, and I have done that in every single part of my life. I know myself, I love myself, I love spending time with myself, and I do enjoy having company. I moved to America at the age of 16 with my two younger sisters. At the age of 20, my father put us out on the street. I took care of us, and I was doing that before because he wasn't such a great dad, but hey. At the age of 28, I moved to Europe, Munich, Germany, where I stayed for about 10 years. Unfortunately, the partner that I chose, it's a lesson. after the second sign, the first sign I saw that he wasn't right, but you know, I told him what I wanted and he apologized. We talked things through, and so I stayed. I got pregnant very early. And the second sign, which was right after our daughter's birth, so it was, you know, it was not a long space. I realized, okay, I saw the first sign. I was gonna leave, but I stopped and I made a decision. Not a problem with me. I tried. Second sign, I realized, nope, he's not the man for me. We had a daughter, and I also knew that because of what I already saw of him, that he would not, of course he's her father, but there will be things that I would have to really and truly strengthen in her to not let this type of closeness break her. So I knew he was not the man for her as well. And so my plan was to get out of that relationship. But fortunately, it took me some time. So I ended up staying about 10 years. Then eventually I saw a window, and that turned into a hot mess. A hot mess, whereas in him and his family, he and his mother and his aunt, this is all he had, psychologically tortured, abused, threatened me with letters, fake letters from the court saying that I owed them money, that they would take away my green card. They threatened me with my daughter, you know, if I do, you know, taking the heater out of the bedroom that I was in, the mattress off of the bed, light bulb, locking me out of the apartment, wanting to change the apartment's lock by going through the meter. The landlord, we had a dog that I found out I'm allergic to at that specific time. We just got a dog, and he was also using the dog to make me even more sick. Long run, I was put out on the street, and I spent the last couple of years trying to get my daughter in my life. I was living in women's home. Eventually I got my own apartment, but I spent the past, again, couple of years trying to have access to my daughter. And he has written me letters, which I posted everything. I've cleaned everything out of my life now, my phone and my computer, of all those court situations, the WhatsApp messages of him sending and saying that my daughter does not love me, she doesn't want me, that kind of stuff. So I've dealt with things like that. I've dealt with also 2 other family members, again, including the one sister that I had from very early. Another 2, another sister and a brother. The last child was the boy. Also trying, but trying is not going to work with me, because from a very early age, I understand what is the issues of human beings. We want love, we want to be seen, we want to be accepted, but we do it in the wrong way because we look for it outside of ourselves instead of inside of ourselves. And I've always chosen to do that for me firstly, and understand that those who do give me love, I pay attention and understand that is how they also love themselves and what they receive from their inner circle, their inner environment. So that's where I can say therapy really is one of those big things pertaining to that, because I have been an observer of myself from a very early age, and of human beings. It was not something that I trained myself to do. It just was. I noticed things from early without understanding why. So, and I read people very, very well. And so therapy for me, I have always said, is very great, because when you're in a storm, in a situation, you have to be careful who you go and speak to, family-wise, friend-wise, because they also have their own traumas, their own insecurities, and they also want to protect you, but in a way that is also going to be controlling for them. And then they want to be the main character in your life and your situation. But it really fouls things up very seriously. I speak English. I speak English. I was just looking here. Hi, Jack. Hi. So, again, that's where I see therapy as. And for instance, what I can say about that, like one of the other signs that my ex did, he the first time he said to me, I will leave him for another man, and I looked at him and I just said no. No other explanation, no nothing, and not grasping what he wanted to get out of that. So I, what was I gonna say? I'm sorry. I'm double tasking. All right, so I'm just writing a question here for you guys. So yes, and I don't know how to get rid of it, but hey. So yes, he said to me, I will leave him for another guy. I said no. The second time he did it, it was already 6 years in the relationship, and he said it. And again, I already grasped the type of individual he is based on already being with him, our surroundings, our life. And when he said it the second time, I literally just looked at him and said, you have a problem, not me. You need to see someone about that. That is another extension to what therapy is and what someone who has psychological issues have. So when you go to someone in your surroundings or friend-wise, and you share with them your situation, again, they are also putting their own in a perspective, mindset, point of views, and trauma into your situation, and then the outcome sometimes is even worse. Mothers controlling, wanting to control their daughters and their sons' lives, the best friend or the friend giving you advice or wanting to then confront the other partner, and again, this whole thing gets messed up. So that's why I say a therapist is best, and a therapist is really good too, because we have to understand we are all, I say this truly because I know this is a fact, we are all crazy in some way, shape, and form. To live here, to live amongst one another, and to live an understanding with having to work, make money, having to rely on what the government and so forth says to us and how to move, what is expected, those sorts of things. So those are the things. And then secondly, if you have a vision to dress differently, to move to a different town from your family, your home, etc., what you know, to go off after a dream, a job or whatever that is completely different from what you wanted to study in the first place or what you're expecting to, you are crazy by just having that dream and then having the courage to choose it. So you have to understand that sometimes we have to understand that we are working in a space where there's so many things going on around us. So my question here is, what is it that you think a therapist can help you with at this point in your life? I'm from Africa. No. I just answered that question. I am Trinidad and Tobago. I'm a Trini and an American citizen. You don't know. Well, I mean, that was just a question for someone, because someone might be going through some sort of storm in their life and may need someone to talk to, and a therapist is that. Yeah, I know many people don't go to therapy, but it's just a suggestion I'm giving to, I guess, I think someone might need this, but to have that understanding that we're not to look at therapy as we used to. And why I'm saying this, it has come out that many wealthy people and even normal middle class people do go through therapy. It is not what it used to be, because society wanted us to think that if you go to therapy, you are mentally crazy and looked at in a different way. The same way you would go to a family member and share whatever is on your heart, a therapist is best for that, because then they help you really and truly map out a solution that works for you. They're not telling you what to do. And that is a true guidance as for what I've been teaching about self-love, becoming someone of value, of worth, knowing yourself, respecting yourself, facing the mirror. You are the ones to place that map of actions and what it is you want to do moving forward. So then you start to train yourself, your mind, on how to not let emotions and triggers of other people do that to you. Do you understand what I mean? So, and again, sometimes we just have moments in our life where we really do need to let things out, and instead of going to family members that are really, you know, unless you have already had experience with some particular one person in your life that is not going to be judgmental, that's not going to place blame and etc onto you, then that's okay. But in general, a therapist is your best bet. Are they not good in Russia? Oh wow, I'm sorry about that. Best solution besides therapy: writing it down, paying attention to it, seeing what is actually going on with you. Why I say this is very important in order for you to start to pinpoint where the stress is in your life and why is it there and where is it coming from. And writing is another form of being able to just get it out of you, your mind, your emotions. And why? Because then you can read it. So going to a therapist is speaking it out, but if you don't speak it out, you can write it down and then read it to yourself. This helps your cognitive brain to see, fully understand. It's like you're taking yourself and that situation out and putting it somewhere else so you can actually see it and hear it, so that it resonates and turn into a way that you can see it for solutions and understandings. Wow, I haven't been able to put that in that context because I do it almost the same, but not really. I don't write. I just have always been able to just take myself out and see it. But I do ask myself those questions. So that's why I say writing it out is the best way, because you can see it, you can read it, and then you can say, okay, I've been really stressed at work. You read books about therapist job. Okay, what does that mean? Do you want to be a therapist? Hi, Fatih. Hi, Fatih. Yes, reading therapy books is really great. So that means you already have a comprehension of how it works, in a sense, to help you moving forward. So it's just a mechanism and a tool. It's actually just a tool for you to take the stress, the vision that you have out of yourself, the mental negative thoughts and stuff like that out of yourself, so you can actually see it and find a way to understand why is it there, where did it come from, what is it asking of you. Because a lot of the times when we start to be aware of something, is because it's asking us to understand that is ready to leave us, that narrative, that point of view, that mindset, those triggers that we've been having from it is ready to leave us, because we're already starting to evolve. Why I say this too is because a lot of the times in a situation, we're already asking for help, we're already asking to move out of it. So when it starts to show up, is because it's helping you to keep moving forward, because you've already been wanting that. Exactly, you turn into your own therapist when you write it down, and it can help you find a solution which is a tool to help you to move forward, to figure out what is the next steps to be able to rewrite, to say something differently from what you've been thinking and saying. Or again, prime example, someone, again, this has happened before, someone talked to me about their mother who was always critical and just negative and stuff like that, and she realized it, she noticed it, so she already started to pay attention to it, but she didn't want to do anything. She really did though. And so when I asked her, so how does it make you feel? And you know, I told her straightforward, I know you know what to do. I said, I know you know what you want out of the situation. And she laughed and looked at me. And when she explained that, of course it hurts her feeling because X, Y, and Z, she doesn't want to have it in her life anymore. So I said to her, but what does that mean? Does that mean that you're okay to have your mother not be a part of your life? And she looked at me, because I go to the far extremes as possible to help you understand. In order to make a shift, you have to be the one to make that shift. You have to be the one, and that's where boundaries come in. Boundaries is not for other people to respect you, see you, validate you. Boundaries is you respecting yourself, you seeing yourself, you validating yourself. But you have to be the one to constantly enforce it in yourself. So I gave her a solution. I said, hey, sometimes if you've been already through this for so long and you've already maybe talked to her about it. Oh, you don't see my face? Oh, thank you so much. Okay, tap here to end screen. Ay, sorry, moment. There we go. Got it. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm learning too, and I couldn't understand why this didn't move. Okay. All right. So you see me now. Thank you so much for that. You're very nice. And so yes, because she's already been experiencing it, she's probably already mentioned it to her mom. And I asked her, I said, sometimes you might have to just go very extreme, very, very extreme, because why? No one is respecting you when you're saying and you're still coming up and still accepting that pain, that behavior from the individual. So sometimes you gotta hit people hard for them to realize, I really do mean that I don't like this, I don't want this. So then I asked her, I said, what about you not seeing her as often or talking to her as often as you do? So I asked her, how often does she see her and talk to her? And so I said, what about maybe instead of 4 times a week you see her and talk to her, what about twice a week? Why does I find these solutions for us to see these things is to help you to understand, the more you distance yourself from chaos, abusive people and stuff like that, you start to find yourself more. You start to understand why this vision of you not accepting and wanting these things is there. And that is when you start to build boundaries. Again, wealthy people, and many of you have to understand the difference of wealth. Wealth is not just about physical money. Wealth is a mindset, a presence. Wealthy people have strong boundaries. They do not have and want chaos in their life. Wealth is actually peace. Peace is wealth. And I have said this before, but now it came up again for me to put it in there, because I have always had that understanding, but I know we live in a world where it's money, this, that, and the other. And so I kind of drifted away from that because of that mindset from society. But as I am here now, as you see, I'm living in my mother's house, no money, no job, no nothing. I have always been someone that has peace in my life, even though I was around a chaotic person, my ex. I still was able to have my peace because I I know myself, and I know what that looks like and feels like to be in love with myself, to have time with myself, and to make peace. And so I did that. And especially with our daughter, the I'm going to explain this. Peace is wealth. Yes, peace is wealth. The first year, so my ex, growing up, I mean, in Germany, it's, you know, the seasons. Sometimes in Munich, we would have a long winter, as in the sun wouldn't come out until late July or July, August. And sometimes it's like in between. Some days you get sun, and so sometimes we get a summer like for 1 month or 6 weeks. And so the first year, I think our daughter was about 5. um he was just, winter was really ugh. Again, I know myself and I got to understand him. So I told him, go to vacation, go on vacation by yourself. I was there for 15 years. It's only been now a year that I'm here in Trinidad and Tobago by the universe's whatever, because I was still there. And so he booked a trip and he went on vacation by himself. But what happened in that time span, my daughter is going to kindergarten, and we would get her into a bunch of different activities. But I realized in that time span, I noticed some moments she would be extra chaotic and hyper, especially around him. And so when he left, the first day he left, there was a change in her energy. And I realized, oh my God, I know myself. I know how to create a balance, right? And when I saw that, I said, I have to make sure and carve a way that she can also have that for herself because of what he is. And funny enough, when we got that dog, the first 2 months of the dog, and I was already starting to have issues, and I was starting to train the dog. One day we went for a walk with the dog, and the dog was probably like 2 months, walking without a leash next to me when we were going to forest. And one day he wanted to come. He took the dog, and I swear to you, I put the dog on a leash, and the dog went from just walking by my side comfortably, freely, like I was, be calm. I give always directions in my head first, in my energy, and then command. And as soon as he took that dog, it went, and I'm like, okay, what do you want it to do? And he said he's already, thinking it and asking it what he wants it to do. But even when he said it, the dog still wouldn't do what he wanted. It was always like, crazy. It was literally crazy. And I said to myself, oh my God, that was the second time I saw it. So along the lines of the years with my daughter and him, going to kindergarten, then one activity, ballet, then another, and he wanted to do more. And I was like, no, that is too much. That is too much. She needs to also have a balance to be able to have peace and calmness in her life. Not always on the run, always on the run. Not even at home. Why does I say that too? Because around him, there was always some kind of chaotic something going on when he was around, that she also too was energetically feeling. And so I carved out that when we were at home, there's no activity. She's just in her room doing her own thing, chilling. Or when we had great weather, I put a blanket outside, she lays in the grass with some music, and he's not allowed to tell her anything, not to interrupt her, not to tell her to go do something, whatever. That's it. So in many ways, I really was the yeah, I mean, he was the parent as well, but I did more than he did. So that's what I mean by wealth is peace. Therapy is not a negative. It is a way to help you find your peace, to carve it out from the chaos around you, to know what is chaos. What is chaos? And sometimes we have had someone in your life that's chaotic, and then you are in your own environment now, but you still want to have crazy music playing in the background and stuff like that because you're already used to it. So when you start to notice what is chaos from a situation, and now you find a space around you, you can eliminate those things. Where is my husband? Somebody's asking, where is my husband? That's a nice question. That's cute. Thank you so much for that question. Um, so yes, so yeah, that's what therapy in my mindset is about. And again, I've always asked people to write. If you want to be able to see your current storm in order to help you with your what and your why, so then you can move forward. And for me, I posted this again. I had to think about this. I always say what and why, because what is exactly why. Let's put it this way: what is this feeling I'm feeling right now? All right, what is this feeling I'm feeling right now? So you step back and you analyze it. You notice you're feeling strange, whether it's around someone, whether it is something that you, let's say you have to pay a bill, etc., etc. Why you do that is to help you. Again, when you're in a storm, your brain cannot think of solutions. When you're in a storm and your emotions and anxiety is building up, sometimes you cannot see forward. You can't see what it is exactly that you would like to have, or what is the best approach to move forward. That's your what. And then your why is, why is this here? Why is this coming up? Why? I mean, this bill, I know I have to pay it. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. You know what I mean? Why am I feeling so anxious that I can't figure out how to, get the company, whatever the situation, to pay this bill? Yeah, let's put it that way, because I've had that situation before where I had a bill and I was trying to find the company in order to pay it, and I couldn't. And I was like, okay, because the time was already getting closer. And I said, you know what? Why I cannot find the company, the link? What is this about? And so when I did that and I stepped back, I said, okay, fine. Within about half an hour later or so, I ended up going on the computer and just typing again. And then something came up and said, okay, this company is only linked to through this other company. So you trying to find the ways and the means to do that is wrong. It's another way. And so that's what I mean by that. Because sometimes, again, really and truly, I have noticed that when you're in a storm and you're not paying attention to what exactly the storm is and what it's doing, to why you're feeling this way, to why, you know what I mean? You are not going to be able to know what you want and then how to move forward. So you literally have to be in a storm to calm yourself down in the storm, which is very hard for many people to do. So you have a mindset or words or a phrase that you keep saying to yourself about yourself in a negative way. When you do that, you can understand. Again, a lot of the times we have certain phrases and words in our heads that we say about ourselves that was already put there from someone else. So sometimes it gives you the opening to see that person. And again, what I say too, it helps you again, because your higher self is calling you to move past this, but you have to see it first in order to move past it, so that you can now rewrite it, so that you can now understand that it was never yours to take on, it was someone else's, because of their lack, of their insecurities, of their whatever. So when you can see that and you can let go of it, by understanding this is not me, this has never been mine, this I don't need to think this way about myself. And then the shift starts, you move out of that. So that's what a ballpark, so to say, for me about therapy. And I'm not saying that you have to, and I'm not saying that, you know, I'm just saying for those of you who really and truly notice you're in a really big storm, you should. And again, I would say for myself, I did do therapy. That year that I was leaving my ex and he was doing all of the things, I went to two therapists, two different kinds. One was for adults, but also in relations to children. So it helped me along the lines with my daughter and what we were going through, the situation. And the other one was a psychological therapist because of him. He is mentally disturbed. And so me going to her and, you know, having little talks here and there did help me. I mean, I know a lot of the things, to be honest with you, but again, what he was already doing, sometimes when people are doing certain heavy things and you have no one around you, like to just give you a hug or whatever, it can become very overwhelming. And so I didn't want to get to that space. One of the things I did add to in my live on Wednesday, there was also a woman that I had met a little before that, because I was also trying to figure out my health issues. And so one particular day, he had done something really, really, and I was not in a good space. And so I called her and she made me sit down, made me make sure my feet were clear, no shoes or anything on. And she was like, plant yourself on the earth and envision you're rooting into the ground and becoming solid. And what she was doing is making sure that I see that I'm safe, I'm secure, I'm strong. And after that, I have implemented that throughout that. It was about a year that it took me trying to find an apartment to leave him with my kid, but not like, you know, she's gonna not be around and in his life. So I endured a lot. I've shared already this. Sleeping without heat in the winter, I was wearing layers to sleep so that I can be warm, to name a few. So I use that when I would go to walks when I'm home, before my daughter came home. And I would find trees, you know, go walking, but make sure in the forest areas, and I find trees and plant myself in between them. What's going on with the lighting here? Plant myself in between the trees so that I can give them the energy of what I'm feeling from my situation and my moment where I'm at, the storm I'm in, so that I can release it out. So I would put my hands on both trees, like I'm in the middle, and then I would root my feet into the ground. So I would literally envision I'm a tree. But at the same time, I would think of all the things that I'm feeling, the anxiety, the stress, you know, the energy that he's feeding to me from where he's at. And I would just put it into the trees. And then I would always envision myself moving up to the top of the trees and taking in that fresh air, taking in that new energy. So I'm feeding out and also at the same time taking in new. And I did that for a while until, again, as I said, things didn't go the way that I wanted. I didn't find an apartment, and things got really heavy at that particular point, really heavy. And so I was ended up being placed on the street. So yeah, therapy again. And people who talk to me in the plane and the taxi and in a bus, whatever, they actually are doing that with me, you know. And I didn't realize that that's what I was doing until two people mentioned it to me. Why am I not a therapist? And I remember I just laughed because I've always wanted to be a doctor, but I thought about therapy, but in dance, because I also took dance, and I thought about using dance as therapy, another angle, but I didn't think about that form of therapy. But I've been doing that my whole life. People have always talked to me from since my early age, 17. Yeah, very early. All right, let's see what's else on the topic. So yeah, I guess I think that was a bit about it for this topic. Really, it was about therapy and understanding too. For me, wealth is peace. Peace is you choosing yourself. Choosing yourself is choosing to understand and see where. Thank you so much. Where your okay, I'm gonna put this in this context. Choosing yourself is also paying attention to your darkness, your pain, your anxiety, your stress, your jealousy. Why I like to put these things in there too, because we have to understand it's not just about negative talks or negative feeling. It's also about jealousy, or an emotion that comes to you when someone shows up or does something. Not to look at it as a bad thing. Really and truly, all of these things is asking you to see yourself, asking you to understand why it is you're getting triggered and emotional by someone or something that they said or done, because it's asking you to see it, to release it, because again, it is not you. And because you already have had some experiences with certain things, everything is going to affect you in that way, and you need to start to learn to see, in order to not let everything trigger you and upset you. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but not every, I say it in this context, not every letter with your signature or your name on it is deserved to come into you. So once you start to pay attention to certain triggers and emotions, even something very simple from someone is asking you to pay attention. Hey, there's something there within you that just gets triggered by things that shouldn't really. So once you get to see that, you're able to let that go, and you're able to understand everybody's problems, or how their point of views of me, or how I should show up about myself, etc., is not mine to accept. Alex, thank you so much for that. This is funny. Yes, I'm in the Caribbean. I'm here on YouTube. I'm here on Substack. I'm here on TikTok. Follow. So that's what I mean by that. Peace is wealth, but peace is choosing yourself. Peace is showing up for yourself. Peace is also facing the dark parts of yourself, so that you can start loving all of you. Again, we all have good and bad within us, and those of you who did say you don't have bad or darkness in you are the ones who will always be entrapped, that would always be triggered, that would always not grow, not love yourself truly, because you're not accepting all of you. I'm saying like that, plain and simple. Plain and simple. You can't walk away from one half of yourself and think you loving all of you. No, it don't work like that. It really doesn't. It doesn't at all. So I don't know what's with my light. It looks so dark. Do you guys see me? I find it looks so dark. But yes, Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, for me, and I saw this at the age of probably 10 or 9, um, was here in the Caribbean, and I don't know what happened. I know I was getting a lot of downloads about things. And so one day I just was like, God, why would you send me here? They don't love themselves. What's the point? And I don't know why that stuck with me. That really stuck with me. Even though my sister was bullying me, I never thought about it being me the problem. I have to be honest with you guys. And I explained this to you guys in this context. The being that I'm very, I'm 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 uh, I'm so much more than just, reading stuff to know things. I have this wisdom within me, and I've always trusted that. And that is the reason why I have always, it's like I created a bubble for me. No one was allowed to tell me or to guide me to know myself. No, I made that very clear from a young age. I was the one that determined to know myself. Why? Because one, I also had things that I do and see spiritual wise. And I know how the world sees that, as in she's a psychic, she's a witch, and how, some people or cultures ostracize you and stuff like that. So I didn't want people to know that I see things. My foresight also, my visions and stuff like that. I didn't want people to know that. So I think that's really one of the reasons why I kept in a bubble, and also just tried to know myself because of that. Because it was very strong from an early age. Very, very strong. My mother was the only one who knew because of certain things. She knew, but she never shared it to anyone. My sisters, no one knew. So, and my sister, the way that she behaved with me, I always saw it was always about her. It was never about me. I mean, and one day, of course, I did ask her, and when she gave me the answer, I swear to you, it was like, you knew, but just like, it's, you knew, but then when you get the answers, like a different kind of weight just lifted off of you. So yeah. So why do I know so much knowledge? Maybe I'm an old soul. People have always told me that from an early age. I don't know. I don't know. There's things I know that, again, even as social media started coming out, therapists, medical professions started to talk about it, and I was already doing it and saying it. And I started, because I was also that person from young. I would always be like, I used to say I'm a weird person because of how I think, how I see the things I say, and people would be like, say to me, you're an old soul, when I start to speak and communicate with them. And I was just like, I don't know what that really means, you know what I mean? But I just have that inner wisdom. I have to be honest with you. Okay, bye Alex. The next live will be on Friday. It's every Friday at 2 p.m. my time, which is AST. So wherever you're at, it's gonna be nighttime. How do you recommend to find your path and what's meant for you, what you enjoy? Is that your intuition? Yes, 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 yes. We have, again, we have to understand now, we are no longer in that you go to school, you learn to be a doctor, you learn this and that and the other, and then you get a job. That those days are over with, because we have seen how some people are miserable. Some people only do that because their family or society says to do that in order to have a living, and etc. So I would really truly advise you, and if you don't know what you like to do, like you can't visually see it, write it down. Write down the things that you do, in order to see what makes you happy. Because when you write it down, you have your lists. I do tennis, I read certain types of books, whenever, when you're doing that now, you can pay attention by asking yourself when you're doing those activities, because you have a list you can read just to check up on. Ask yourself those questions when you're doing it, and it's an internal feeling, something that makes you want to show up, makes you want to do it often, that even when you're stressed and whatnot, you're looking forward to doing it. That is your joy, that is your passion, that is something that you can strive to doing as a career wise, but even part-time in a sense, but more or less just something to do. Why does I say have a hobby? Those things are hobbies. Why? Because they take you into a space where you can release stress, anxiety, whatever, doubts, whatever, and bring serotonin, bring joy back into you. And that allows you to find, this is how you find solutions. This is how you start to be positive with self. This is how you start to envision more for and of yourself. So working out, having dark chocolate, those are not the only things that build serotonin, happy hormones within you to be able to, I'm great, I'm beautiful, I'm you know what I mean, I can do this, I you know, I know what I want, I can do this, I can go after this. By having your passions, those things that you look forward to, that make you feel happy and good, and you know, that is what is that. Yeah, every Friday I'm here. Every Friday. Every Friday I'm here. Every Wednesday I'm on TikTok at the same time, and tomorrow I'm on Facebook at 10 a.m. my time. But yeah. So thank you and have a good night, Alex. I think it's night where you're at, right? Okay, cool. Now, no, normal. Okay. All right, guys. So yes, so I'm very balanced with my masculine and my feminine. And so I shared my good night, my scarves. So at the moment, I have been doing this for some time. I'm very creative and I love making stuff. So I wanted for myself, because I sew sometimes, I wanted some new scarves, and I draw, and the idea just came to me, and I just said, let me try it out. And I know it's going to be silk. So I said, I made a collection already, but it's not physical yet. And then I turned from there to making, I think I'm going to call it journals slash planners. I'm still in the development of what's going to be in it, how it's going to lay out, because I'm a bullet journal girl. And from that, I started making also notebooks, notepads. And these are things I really and truly love. So it's really interesting. I'm making stuff that I like and hoping maybe people will like it. And also because then I started the scarves, I started cards, because I love making cards. I always make cards for everybody. Okay, this is going pretty long, but let's keep going. I think everyone is there still. So yeah, I'm making cards as well, and I just started some men's line scarves, and this is gonna be for me. I do have a thing with men dressed in certain ways, so I'm looking forward to launching that as well. And I'm gonna make some cards too. As far as journals and stuff like that, I will probably try to make one or two that complements men, but that's where I'm at right now, and that's who I am. I'm very balanced with both masculine and feminine. I want both parties to love themselves, heal themselves. It's just that women, we have had a harder time than you guys in certain aspects, but I do know that men in certain aspects do have some issues, prostate cancer, prostate, you know, any of these things. And these things, why I say to therapy or finding ways to let out stress or seeing it, is going to help you to not hold on to it, which allows you to age, gray hair, and physical illness. physical illness. And this is something that I've shared before. This is a true thing. We hold on to pain, stress, and emotion in certain parts of our body that then turns into more problems later on down the line. So yes, it is just true saying, try not to stress, try not to worry, because everything will turn out, in a positive way. But at that particular moment, it is normal. It is normal for us to, be in a stressed state. But that's why I say, when you find a hobby and know what can you pull you out of it, music, whatever, is important to still not be in it for too long, and not let it seep in, not let it seep in that context. All right, guys, I am gonna go eat something. I'm getting hungry now, but this was really nice, and I thank you so much for all of you for joining. Yes, so I do love letter to self vlog twice a month, and the next one is coming up next week Sunday. I do lives here on Fridays, Wednesdays on TikTok, Saturday mornings on Facebook, and I'm always on, as much as I can, on Substack, posting on IG. I have 2 accounts on IG. My name is Julia Belgraves. I'm a model, a dancer, and the other one is Light and Love Within, which is the other part of me, the artist, the speaker, um, you know, the whimsy. But I'm whimsy on both TikTok, Facebook, Substack, and YouTube. And I'm doing podcasts. I'm quite doing lot. And I just introduced Snapchat. Oh my god. I have not really been on that page really. I had it and then I didn't use it, and then I started back recently. So I have a Snapchat account as well. And I'm just growing my brand. She has been revamped for the umpteenth time, but honestly, this is the woman that I am. I love to grow, and growing is me seeing myself in all ways, shape, and form, and understanding what is not serving me anymore, but also accepting that it served me when I had that mindset, that whatever, or that situation, etc. So everything that I've gone through, I'm not mad about it. In honesty, I've learned a lot of lessons, again, mostly about myself, but truly too about people and how they want things and how they think things should be, and their perspectives, and etc, etc, etc. But I learned more as just about myself. And the one thing I can say, that I learned what I want from what I don't want. The moment I know what I want from what I don't want, I'm not concerned about what don't want. That's already gone. It's literally like, as soon as I find out, understand what I don't want, left the building. I'm only focused on what I want, so that I can energetically vibrate in that frequency, so that I can keep calling in positivity, magic, play, inspiration, ideas, etc, etc, etc. So that's the type of person I am. So I love growing, and I love where my brand, which is me, is at this moment. Even though I live here in Trinidad and Tobago, I've always dressed differently, I've always thought differently, I've always moved differently. So honestly, I've always said I'm a child of the world. But I'm American citizen and a Trinidadian citizen that lived also in Munich, Germany, grew up in Europe, traveled a lot in Europe, Italy, France, Switzerland, Ibiza, Mallorca. I've really done a lot. I've even been to Shenzhen, China. I've traveled, and I love traveling. Turkey, Egypt. I've learned a lot of languages too, but I unfortunately don't speak them anymore. Salam Khubi, this is Persish. I learned a little Mandarin. I'm teaching myself again French, which at this moment is kind of really slow, because I'm editing, filming, doing everything on my own. with my cell phone and my laptop that I'm also projecting out to the universe and accepting and thanking them for a new MacBook Pro so that I can continue to grow the brand, because everything is being done on my cell phone, and I have to film, post, and delete. So this is why I cannot commit to more on social media, as in also YouTube vlogging situation. I'm really limited. I would love to be able to edit on my laptop and do sort of stuff, but as again, I'm very grateful and thankful for where I'm at, where I know I'm going, and I'm enjoying the ride and having a lot of fun. So I thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Have a wonderful and blessed weekend. Wonderful and blessed weekend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye guys. Bye. Good night, good night, good night.